All right. I'm going to talk some quarterbacks with you. As I think quarterback, I think of like the metaphor that like there's two wolves in the hearts of men competing against each other. I believe that a quarterback is two people on the field. He is a passer and he is a quarterback. There's certain things that I don't care if it's Kyler Murray or Tom Brady. There's certain things that I associate with the quarterbacking part of the position, and there's certain things I associate with passing, with being the passer. I To talk about quarterbacks, we're going to cover some of these rookie quarterbacks, but five rookies: Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mack Jones. I previously said in my first video that the only reason to take any of them over Mack Jones is because you don't think Mack Jones is athletic enough to survive in your shit show. Other than that, he's more accurate and has more leadership, in my opinion, than the others. So, and he seems smarter than the others. I think he talks with better body language, better eye contact. I think he shows more maturity. I think he has less less ego. I think he's the right. If you want confident and cocky's just the cherry on the Sunday split. Like, I don't need a whole lot of swagger. I just need cool, calm collection. And I'm going to talk about some of these quarterbacks. And I'm going to bring up some of their stats here as I talk about this. And it's just by passing yards, right? So by passing yards, before we get started, it's December 4th, 2021. Sunday football in week 13 has not happened, okay? You have Derek Carr leading Tom Brady by 11 passing yards. Tom Brady's got the next guy by around 80, which is Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has Justin Herbert by almost 100 yards. Herbert has Patrick Mahomes by 30 yards, who has Dak Prescott by 30 yards, who has Josh Allen by about 100 yards. Kirk Cousins is about 60 yards after that. And then you drop a little over 100 yards to Aaron Rodgers. And then you drop about 25 yards to Mack Jones. Then you drop another about 25 yards to Joe Burrow. And then you're 45 yards north of Carson Wentz, who's 16 yards better than Ryan Tannehill. Matt Ryan's next, Tyler Heineke, Lamar Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger, Teddy Bridgewater, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray. And if you start from the bottom and scroll up from Kyler Murray to the top, Kyler Murray's blowing these dudes out of the water in yards per attempt. He's 2 percentage points in completion percentage better than anyone else, and that next someone is Mack Jones. And I want to talk about what I think about some of these quarterbacks. So I'm going to kind of loosely start with the AFC West. Derek Carr's leading the league in yards. We still have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Those are 3 out of the top 5 quarterbacks in passing yards. And still on this list is Teddy Bridgewater. In the AFC, I think Derek Carr has had a pretty rough go. I think he's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. I don't think he's very flashy. I think he's pretty solid. I think this John Gruden stuff, I'm not saying John Gruden didn't deserve to be fired for that. I'm not going to like back John Gruden up or anything that he said or anything like that. But that's a hit. Now, like when they say he like his career got assassinated, someone took information they had like strict instructions for, targeted him, and then like ended his career. And I think that they did so because they're not allowed to do so to an NFL owner. I think this Snyder stuff on the Washington football team is toxic. And to digress a little bit further, One of the most sickening things I think I've ever seen in football. It's not Aaron Hernandez. It's not the murder-suicide that the Chiefs linebacker did. It's not the potentiality of Ray Lewis killing someone, of which, you know what? Not to digress within the digression, but no one ever talks if that would have been self-defense for Ray Lewis. That's not ever mentioned once out of fairness. That even in the conspiratorial people that think that Ray Lewis killed a guy, it may have been self-defense. And you know what? He was acquitted of that. And I don't even know if he went to court over that. Like, even this DUI that Ruggs had that killed someone, like, that's terrible. That's a really bad thing. And some of these things are really bad personal actions. But someone targeted John Gruden. And I'm not saying that they weren't wrong or weren't right, but where's this person getting fired? And John Gruden, they're going to trace this back to someone. And he's probably going to sue the NFL for quite a bit of millions of dollars, and he's probably going to get it because no one's going to hire him in the NFL again. He might as well be Colin Kaepernick at this point. Derek Carr, I think Derek Carr is like top 10-ish. Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. He's second in passing yards. He's first in passing touchdowns. He has almost a 67% completion percentage. All he does is win. Talent's the results. When Tom Brady was put in the college football game, it's because they needed a win. When they wanted to show off the quarterback they thought was better than him, they did. When they needed a win, they went to Brady. Brady's been a winner since the get-go. He was showing people how to win halfway through the 2001 season. I spent 2001 to 2014 where his Patriots beat the Legion of Boom with the exact same game plan as the Broncos from the year before with Peyton Manning. Tom Brady's the GOAT. He's clearly one of the top 5 quarterbacks. Matt Stafford, I don't trust him with a football in his hands. Listen, Tom Brady's 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Matt Stafford's 27 and 9 interceptions. Tom Brady's thrown for 3,403 yards. Matt Stafford's thrown for 3,316 yards. It's when and how Matt Stafford throws picks. 3 of Matt Stafford's picks are in the last 3 weeks, and they're pick sixes. And this is recent. Some of Tom Brady's struggles were previous, like a while back, like earlier in the year. Like he was playing better with Antonio Brown, but Tom Brady and those who play like Tom Brady is, I'm not saying they're the winner he is, but I'll take it. Matt Stafford, he's not effectively better than Jared Goff. Does he have a stronger arm? Do I believe that the Rams believe he's more talented? Sure. And also, if I was the owner, I would be looking at the situation and go, my owner's the same age as this guy. He's down in Cabo with this guy, and we trade the future to come get this guy. I may keep the coach, but Les Snead, to me, for my money, has proven he can sell tickets and he can't build a real Super Bowl contender. I get that he went to a Super Bowl. It's the least amount of points ever scored in a Super Bowl by, like the greatest young mind in offensive coaching. So I don't, not to take shots at Sean McVay, but I think he's great, but I think it's tough to tell. They have penalties. The biggest problem I see with Sean McVay as an offensive coach, they're late to the line of ball. They're late to the line of scrimmage. That they have to call timeouts. They have delay of games. That's coaching. That's getting the play call in. Do you know what to call or do you not know what to call? Is it too long? Is it too much verbiage? Why are they late to the line 3, 4, 5 times a game when your quarterback is on a new team processing things in new ways and he's making mistakes and you're not giving him enough time at the line of scrimmage to see things, to figure things out? Also, some of the pre-motion stuff that Kyle Shanahan does with like a Jimmy Garoppolo on offense would probably make Matt Stafford's day a lot easier. Justin Herbert, 6'5", 4.0 student, calm, no ego, has a little bit of California sunshine hair, long hair. I don't care. He's smart. He's calm. He's deliberate. He's a leader. He's accurate. He had the best rookie season. I think his rookie season's better than Dak's. I think it's better than Roethlisberger's. I think it's better than Manning's. And I don't mean statistically. I think it was really good. But everyone can have one good year the year after they leave a program where they were good. Like Tom Brady is going to have 2 good years after the program he left. A lot of guys go to a new team and they may have it for a year, like as a rookie, and then the league figures them out, like RG3. Or they may go to a new team, but that new team doesn't use them the same way, doesn't treat them the same way, doesn't run calls the same way, doesn't have the same quarterback. That type of example is like OBJ, where he had it and he went to somewhere else, and he's never been the player he was that was overrated when they traded him in the first place. Justin Herbert, I think he's good. 24 touchdowns, 10 picks. He's 4th in passing yards. They haven't been winning very consistently, but I think he played a really good game against the Steelers. I look for Justin Herbert to be a mainstay top 10 quarterback for like the next 10 years. Patrick Mahomes, people think he's the most talented quarterback. Just kind of going down this list, I know I fit some Tom Brady and Matt Stafford into what I was trying to do for the AFC West here, but to kind of get back to it, Patrick Mahomes is the double agent. The NFL Network used to have Marshall Faulk on there before allegations ago, and he used to call Brett Favre the double agent. And Patrick Mahomes has 25 touchdowns and 11 picks, and there's, 5 games left? In 2018, he threw for 50 touchdown passes, and I'm wanting to say like 8 interceptions or something. It was pretty good. It was a really, really, really good year. But every game he missed a receiving target by 5 to 10 yards, about 5 times a game. And some of you have just heard this and you're shaking your head and you think I'm the stupidest person that's ever talked about football in your whole life. And what I'm telling you is, you bring me the all 22 from 2018 and 2019, and I will break down Mahomes. I don't know what their plays are called. I can't sit here and say that I know exactly what every single player was supposed to do on every play, but he missed people. Hurts his knee the next year, comes in, he's playing under center. He's playing in an I formation. He's playing old school traditional fullback or quarterback that transitions to every era of football. And it was the most dangerous quarterbacking I think I've ever seen, even over Tom Brady. That's not what he consistently does. Honestly, I think Patrick Mahomes is somewhere between the Favre and the Manning of this generation, or like the Marino. Now, I could tell you some things. There's a lot of allegations about Dan Marino. I have a source that confirms those allegations. And I know that's not professional or no one wants to hear that, but the source is a Miami Dolphin player, a Super Bowl winning Miami Dolphin player. So I've heard what I've heard about Marino, and I think he's a really great guy, but I do think the allegations that never came to be were actually true. And that is why there's highlights of him online exploding in anger. And I think that's why he wasn't quite the leader the Miami Dolphins needed him to be. Patrick Mahomes is a great leader. I'm just saying from the aspect of he's so goddamn talented. And I'm not a big like your arm's strong, you run fast, and that makes you talented. I think Mack Jones completing almost every single pass he throws is talent. And everything else besides that is whatever you want to call it. But Patrick Mahomes is amazing. When he quarterbacks, it's the scariest quarterbacking I've ever seen. Over Brady, Montana, Staubach, Unitas. It's the most dangerous quarterbacking I've ever seen. When he's just Michael Jordan out there and like he's slick, the star, the MVP, I wouldn't have him on my football team. I'd trade him away, the same as Baker Mayfield. And I know that sounds crazy to people, but Patrick Mahomes, no one's going to listen to me calling him not a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's the best quarterback right now. I don't think he's better than Tom Brady. Justin Herbert's starting to look more consistent than him. I think Dak Prescott plays more consistent than him. I think Mack Jones is going to end up playing more consistent than him. Teddy Bridgewater, he's gotten a raw deal. Teddy Bridgewater should probably still be on the Minnesota Vikings. He should have never went to the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers should have never traded him away to go get Sam Darnold and pick up Sam Darnold's fifth-year option. That's one of the stupidest things ever. Sam Darnold had 26 turnovers his senior year or whatever year he came out of USC. 26 turnovers, 26 touchdowns. Not with a seventh-round pick. Not with a seventh-round pick would I have ever drafted Sam Darnold. One of the best passers of any ball in the history of the human race. But when you get to this level, I never thought he had enough. Let's go to the AFC North. Ben Roethlisberger, has he been under center once in the last 5 years? I know that's an exaggeration. That's quite the embellishment. It's not accurate. But I don't think Ben Roethlisberger plays in enough quarterback variety as someone. He's not very mobile. I don't need you to hang in the pocket. I need you to get rid of the football. And he's getting rid of the football faster than any other player in football right now. So that's great. But he's not under center. They don't really have a run game. And they just spent a first-round draft pick on the runner in football, in college football. They got the running back to go get. They went and got their Zeke. They went and got their Derrick Henry. They went and got the guy to go get. And if running backs are going to have a stretch of quality football, it's in their first 4 or 5 years. Like, unless you just platoon a running back from the get-go, or he's James White or something, his best years are not when he's 30, 31, 32, 33. He may not even play football anymore. I think Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks that ever played. I think he has one of the best rookie seasons that ever played. I think he's had a great career. I've cringed and had to turn off a lot of Patriots games against him. I think the Steelers are one of the best organizations in all of team sports. I think Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest leaders of men in our entire country. But Ben Roethlisberger is a shadow of himself with more yards and a quicker release and all the accuracy. It doesn't matter. It's all for naught. I think more quarterbacks need to play under center. And I don't know. Ben Roethlisberger has kind of had like a 5-year send-off, in my opinion. They really need to move on from him. It's not championship football anymore. It's not Steelers football. He can't play enough of Steelers football for them to get it done. Baker Mayfield, I don't think Baker Mayfield in the AFC North, the Browns were abysmal with shitty attitudes and shitty drafting. They bring in this mean cuss at quarterback that takes no shit. They bring him in and they turn to their shit around. The years of Baker Mayfield are consistently and wildly better than what they've had for everything since Bill Belichick. And I'll say this. I wouldn't. You're going to have Baker next year. Don't re-sign him. Don't give him a big deal. You draft a quarterback this offseason, second round minimum. One of them gets it done. I would be testing whether or not my roster was as talented as everyone says the Browns are immediately. I'm not seeing if Baker's going to get better. I'm bringing another guy in right now. The whole Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance thing, I'm doing that right now. I'm doing that right now with Baker. I'm not doing that to Jimmy Garoppolo, but I am doing it to Baker. All right? Like, Justin Field, like, listen, I'll get to the NFC North in a minute. Baker Mayfield, I would try to trade him potentially this offseason. I wouldn't rely on him being my quarterback next year, because if you had someone that they had the highest paid backup quarterback, but if their backup quarterback had been Taylor Heineke, and I think that would be who's piloting the Browns right now. Ben, Baker, I'm out on Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is good. I don't believe in the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is my next Derek Carr. He's a guy where he quarterbacks and can make plays. He can pass and he quarterbacks. I don't really like how their team's built. Their best is as good as anybody as I roll my eyes, but their floor isn't as consistent as anything I'd like. I like when a quarterback's consistent, their team doesn't have false starts. They're well coached. They seem that they can play the run, play the pass both sides of the ball and they have good special teams and they're not making dummy mistakes, that's fine. Joe Burrow, I think, throws some interceptions that I don't really like. And I don't think he has a whole lot around him, but I don't think Joe Burrow does a whole lot. Lamar Jackson. I kind of struggle with this because people protect him as they talk. Sorry, my phone's going off in the background right now. But Lamar Jackson, he can make throws. He can make all the throws. But the part of quarterbacking that I really separate from the passer is that how you read and process defenses, how you go about making decisions. Can you handle the complexities of the quarterback position against the complexities of defenses and play within the pocket and beat teams like Peyton Manning did? Right now, today, he cannot do that. I don't think listen, he's a leader. He's smart and he's capable, but when it comes to quarterbacking, he does not have it yet. He's an MVP, a deserving MVP, but that's most valuable player, and they picked a quarterback. It was not most valuable quarterback. Did he get first team All Pro that year? Maybe he did. I don't know off the top of my head. But Lamar Jackson, he's the worst speaker at the position in all of the NFL that I'm aware of. His ability to talk and communicate is at the very bottom of the league. I know how some people would want to react. Patrick Mahomes isn't like that. Russell Wilson's not like that. Teddy Bridgewater's not like that. Jalen Hurts is fairly close. Kyler Murray's not like that. He can't speak very well. I question how well he can communicate, like play calls. I question that the confidence. See, I think he's confident out in the middle of the open field. I think he's confident with the ball in his hand. I think he's confident as a player, but it's not that he's not confident in the play. And listen, Tom Brady reads off a wristband. Like, I'm not knocking him for that. I'm not Joe Burrow, no wristband. I don't care. Like, wristband, he may believe in the play, he may believe in himself, but I don't believe he's confident when he is reading. He reminds me of like a young Terrell Owens, where he's not very well spoken, and he is oozing leadership. And I don't think he's a very good quarterback, but he has some of those quarterback things that I really like, and he has some of the passing things I really like. And I believe if Lamar Jackson holds up and is still a starter like 5 years from now, and he has to transition into the idea of how I think Justin Fields wants to play. Like, Justin Fields doesn't want to be known as a running quarterback. He'll run, but I think he wants to be a quarterback. Lamar Jackson has to either transition his game to being a better quarterback without getting hurt. Like, if he gets hurt, he has to do it on his own. It has to be natural. If it just injuries takes his speed away and he tries to become a better passer and it's not there, he's just 6 years from becoming a well-tenured RG3. If he becomes a better passer, like as a quarterback, like the quarterbacking nature of a passer, if he becomes a better quarterback, it'd be hard for him to become a better passer. If he becomes a better quarterback, he's going to win a Super Bowl if he's not overpaid. I 100% believe that. If he doesn't, he 100% is not going to win a Super Bowl. Current Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are not a Super Bowl contender. They're just not. They can go to the AFC Championship 3 games in a row. They can go to the Super Bowl, and everyone's going to say, "Isn't that a Super Bowl contender?" I'm like, we're getting into semantics because I like until he if he were to have his MVP season next year and play exactly the same way and win the Super Bowl, I'd be fucking shocked. I would. I just would. Let's go to the AFC East. I think Mac Jones right now today is a better quarterback than about 20 dudes in the league. You want to say they're better passers? That's fine. But he walked in day one smarter than them as the most accurate, championed collegiate quarterback in NFL history. And he badassed his way, dropping dimes, dropping impossible passes for a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league all throughout his college season, and narrowly won tight games against great competition in the toughest division in college football. He right now today, and this isn't hindsight, he was better than Cam Newton out the gate. He just didn't know the offense. Like next year, I'm calling it now, Patriots win the Super Bowl. If they win it this year, they're going back to back, and I don't know what to tell you because he's a better quarterback. He's a better quarterback in my money. Let's go through the list here. I'd pick him over Derek Carr, Stafford, Herbert. I'd take him over Mahomes. Prescott, maybe not. Maybe not Mahomes, but I'm picking him over Mahomes on consistency because I think the consistency is more talented than arm talent. Josh Allen easily, like I'm in the AFC East, I'm picking him over Josh Allen. Josh Allen is kind of whatever. I'm picking him over Cousins on an age-wise and on a leadership. Like I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't a leader, but I'm picking Mack Jones over Rodgers because of age and personality. I'm picking him over Burrow, Wentz, Tannehill, Matt Ryan for age, a lot of it. Taylor Heineke for style, Lamar Jackson for style, Ben Roethlisberger for style and age. I'm picking him over Teddy Bridgewater because he's just simply outplaying Teddy Bridgewater as a very similar player. Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts and Tua, that's someone else's decision. That's not my decision. Like maybe they were better than Mac Jones every single year they started over Mac Jones, but they were not better pros than Mac was a college player last year, and they're not better pros than Mac is this year. Mac's better than they are. I'd take Mac over Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence. You'd have to give me quite a lot to take Trevor Lawrence over Mac Jones. And you'd have to put me in a situation where I don't think a slower quarterback is going to survive in this shit show. I'd take him over Jimmy Garoppolo based off age. They look pretty similar. I would have took 10 years of Jimmy Garoppolo under Belichick over 2 or 3 more years of Brady. That he probably wouldn't have had the same championships, but now we're dealing with Mac Jones. Yeah, you couldn't have told me Mac Jones was going to come to the Patriots when you're like, we're going to keep Tom Brady and let him ride it out, and we're going to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if I would have done that. I don't think Bill Belichick wanted to do that. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm only taking Mac Jones because he's had less injuries. He's younger, and he can be completely molded from the jump in the right way. Jared Goff, not even close. Kyler Murray, not even close. I'm going to go next page here. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Tua, Fields, Mills, Zach Wilson, Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, Trevor Siemian, Mike White, Tyrod Taylor, Andy Dalton, Geno Smith, Colt McCoy, Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, Joe Flacco, Joe Johnson, Taysom Hill, Cam Newton, PJ Walker, Case Keenum, Jordan Love, Tyler Huntley, Mason Rudolph. I'm only taking 2 or 3 quarterbacks over Mac Jones, people. Josh Allen's an MVP candidate for me right now, but that often's an empty award. Peyton Manning got that award on Kurt Warner one year. I've seen people get it on Tom Brady other years. I don't really care who the MVP is. The MVP, I'm not going to finish the rest of this inappropriate hand gesture, but that's what I think of the MVP. Let's go to the AFC South. Wentz, I'm out on. I don't think he's much. I wouldn't trade a bag of dirt out of my backyard for Deshaun Watson right now. I wouldn't want any of that stuff anywhere near my team. And honestly, I think it's all pretty much made up against him. I think the reason why Deshaun Watson is dealing with all these allegations is because he came out and he's like, I want to get traded. I want to get the hell out of here. And next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of things that devalue him incredibly so. And every time there's a company and they have some employee that's trying to throw their weight around or wants more money than they should get, and they do it with a bad attitude perceived to the ownership, in my perception, sometimes, even if it's really bad things, things that weren't out in the open, all of a sudden are out in the open. And honestly, Deshaun Watson, I think he's his own agent. I could be wrong on that. I think Lamar Jackson is his own agent. I'm not quite sure, but I don't want anything to do with any of the quarterbacks on the Texans. Carson Wentz should have went to the Rams to play under Jeff Fisher, to play how he's playing right now for the Colts, and should have never went to the remnants of an Andy Reid Eagles team. That's where Jared Goff should have went, and Wentz should have went to the other team. And those organizations got it backwards. And honestly, with what the Rams are doing with Stafford, trading out Jared Goff, and what the Eagles are doing. Now, the Eagles are playing smart football, getting a run game going, but Jalen Hurts is not the answer. I don't think either teams have shown that they know what to do with at quarterback since Kurt Warner was a Ram. Like, other than that, I haven't seen any of those teams show me they know what to do at quarterback. Who else is in the AFC South? Tannehill? Nope. Who else am I thinking here? Oh, sunshine. Trevor Lawrence. He's from college football, he's a front runner to me. His best years, like his rookie year, his freshman year, and then every single year since then, all I saw, it's not that Mack Jones played 4 years, but Mack Jones, by the time Mack Jones leaves football in college, he is so significantly better than Trevor Lawrence. It's not even fucking funny. It's not even funny. I would have not took Trevor Lawrence first overall. I would have either took Mack Jones or traded out of it. If I could have traded down and got like Mack Jones and a left tackle or something, I'm not saying they need a left tackle, but if I could have got Mack Jones and another player, Mack Jones already was better for me than Trevor Lawrence. Mack Jones at 15, I'd take him over Joe Burrow. So the AFC South, there isn't a quarterback that I'm super fond of in the AFC South. Jaguars, Colts, Titans. Yeah, I'm blanking here, but it ain't there. Let's go to the NFC. NFC West. Once upon a Russell Wilson. I love Russell. When Russell came onto the scene, I thought he was clearly a talented quarterback. You have an undersized guy that's oozing leadership. Some of these guys like Mack Jones and Russell Wilson, it's like God, not to get religious. I'm not super religious, but God has a mold for a passer. He's all out of passer molding material, and he just injects the whole mold with pure effing leadership. Like Russell Wilson's the man. I wouldn't take Russell Wilson over Mack Jones right now, but if I believed that Russell Wilson was going to revert back to the better Russell Wilson on a new team, I may take him over Mahomes. I'm taking him over quite a lot of players. I'm not taking him over maybe next year's Brady or next year's Rodgers, but Danger Russ is an amazing player. The last 2 years of Russell Wilson's forgettable, and I don't want any of that anywhere near my football team. And I don't think that's him. I think that's his organization. I think that's what happens when you trade 2 first-round draft picks for Jamal Adams to play linebacker and not be as good against the run as a linebacker. Jared Goff. Jared Goff should be a Ram. He should have been an Eagle. This whole trade for Matt Stafford, I would have fired Les Snead. I don't know how it happened. I guess I don't have all the details, but somewhere in the mix, the owner, the general manager, and the head coach talked themselves into some foolishness. If I were in an interview with Les Snead or Sean McVay tomorrow, I would let them know that I'm very concerned as someone that you think you're bringing in to help your football team. I'd have to express my concern in my ability to even contribute because it's all fruitless. I don't think that Matt Stafford, you either have one of the guys or you don't. And Matt Stafford is no goddamn different than Jared Goff. They're not one of the guys. They're not one of the guys. The guys in this league, and I'm not saying all these guys have proved it, but if I were going to put a list together of more than Super Bowl champions, here's the guys that got it. Brady, Herbert, Mahomes, Prescott, Rodgers, Mack Jones, maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson for sure if he's good. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. A developed Lamar Jackson maybe. But I mean, like, I don't think there's very many players that got it. Maybe Carr, but Brady, Herbert, Mahomes, Prescott, Mack Jones, Russell Wilson, Rodgers. And I'm not saying really all those players. Matt Stafford, all of his stats have always been empty. Their wins right now, I don't really care about. Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback in that division with respect to what Kyler Murray is doing. I think Kyler Murray will get figured out. I think last year Kyler Murray, when his team needed him, had an ankle and didn't have enough for his team to make the playoffs. This year, you scroll down, it's like, who's the best quarterback in football? Well, you say Kyler Murray's the best quarterback in football, but he's over 1,200 yards behind the leader in passing. He's almost 2 yards ahead of everyone in yards per attempt, except for Jimmy Garoppolo. Everyone else is like 7.7. It's the highest above him. Joe Burrow's 8.4. Garoppolo's 8.4. So I guess he's not 2 full yards. Matt Stafford's high. Derek Carr's high. But he's almost a whole yard per attempt higher than everyone else. And it's this RPO, do this, first crosser, second crosser, deep ball stuff. And they have talent, but I wouldn't have done the JJ Watt thing. If I were the Patriots or like the Steelers, I would say you're a Hall of Fame player. You haven't held up. I think you need to be a rotational player. I think your days as a full-blown, like, cameras on you after a big play 6 times a game, I think that's over. And I wouldn't have given J.J. Watt more than like $8 million. And that would be to play like rotationally. He's a great player. I think he's the greatest defensive lineman who's ever played, even over Aaron Donald. I don't think Aaron Donald's half the player at his peak that J.J. Watt was at his peak. And that's the pass deflections. That's the anchoring in the run game. J.J. can play the run with power and speed when he was in his prime, and deflected passes at the same rate he got sacks, and it's, for the most part, better than what Aaron Donald does. And teams can scheme both of them basically out of the game plan for a lot of the plays. So Kyler Murray, I haven't seen him be clutch. I think he has leadership. I think he's a really good passer. I think he's Doug Flutie. I think we've seen a player like him. I just think Doug Flutie didn't get a play in the type of offense that he plays in. Who else is over there? Russ, Stafford. Oh, yeah. I think Jimmy's probably – Russell's the best if Russell gets back to it. I don't think Trey Lance will ever really do anything special. I think Jimmy's better than him. I think if they move out Jimmy to move to him is getting rid of Teddy Bridgewater for Sam Darnold. I think that's some getting rid of Jared Goff for Matt Stafford shit. I don't think that's going to work out for him. And I'm a big Kyle Shanahan fan. I think you basically have to do everything as good as the Patriots, or you're doing something not as good as the Patriots and therefore won't be as consistent as them. And therefore you're more likely to be playing and building losing football than you are winning football. And it's about that simple. NFC North, Rodgers is the goddamn man. I think his teammates like him. I think he's pushing the line on what his franchise is willing to accept out of his attitude. I don't blame him. I think they've previously been wrong, but I also think that he wants more given to him than any player should be given to him without being like in Elway's position. I don't think he should be drafting the team. I don't think they should have ever drafted Jared Love. I think that's stupid. I don't think that's going to get Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's going to get Trey Lance. I don't think that's the Patriots going after Jimmy Garoppolo when you have Brady. I don't think it's the same thing. Justin Fields had a interview where he has a baseball hat and the hat's facing forward. No Baker Mayfield nonsense there. Not that Tom Brady won't wear a hat backwards, but I'm not a big hat backwards person at quarterback. But Justin Fields is, having this interview at the podium. That's not half the leadership I see out of Lamar Jackson. That's the same Baker Mayfield nonsense that I don't like out of Baker. I don't think Justin Fields has good body language on the sidelines. I don't think he has good facial mannerisms when the team's down. I don't think he's a great communicator. I think he's a sore loser, and I think he's overhyped talent, and he'll never carry the jock of Mack Jones 1 year in his whole fucking career. Andy Dalton is like Baker. He should have never even been given like $100 million contract. Like he's our fans' favorite player, the Red Ride. He wasn't the guy. If you don't have the guy, draft again. Keep getting offensive linemen, keep getting linebackers, trying to make your coaching staff and your football program as intelligent as possible, and then go find the guy. Kirk Cousins. I love Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a champion. I would have drafted Kirk Cousins in the second round before I took Andrew Luck first overall. I would have took Kirk Cousins in the second round before I took RG3 second overall. I don't remember if – let's see. I want to click on Kirk Cousins. I want to say it's the 2001 draft. 10-year experience. He's 33. We'll go to the next page here. And – dangerous. See 10 years into? 10 years. I knew it. That's why I just double checked this. When they said unanimously that the top two quarterbacks in that draft were Andrew Luck and RG3, you had a wide receiver prospect that I would have took in the 6th round and a really overly positive, like, brainchild out there. But you had two other quarterbacks. You had someone that looked just like Andrew Luck playing on a less talented college team, being just as accurate, in my opinion, looking really well, playing pro-style football, and that was Cousins. Cousins versus Wilson was always the conversation. You had someone that did what Andrew Luck did with more fire, more asshole in him than the superstar loaded all around him. Like, you want to say that for Mack Jones, but you would never say that for Andrew Luck in a defenseless conference in college football loaded with super smart players that half of them are going to the NFL while the rest of the conference can't play pass defense. And then you got Kirk Cousins playing under center, leading a lesser type school, doing all the same things that you're bowing down. There's two types of bows. There's this bow and there's this bow. And and then you have Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson played at NC State. That is where Philip Rivers played. And he played amazing there. And one system, then he went to go play baseball. And then he went to Wisconsin and played under center and played pro-I professional style football. And he badassed in two different systems, oozing leadership. It was never about Andrew Luck and RG3. That is not hindsight. I have been saying this shit for 10 years. It's not hindsight. I lost track here. Who's the other quarterback in there? Jared Goff? Jared Goff's not the guy. NFC East, Jalen Hurts, not the guy. Who else is out there? Easy. I'm going to skip the whole NFC East because, in my opinion, it's just hot garbage except for Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a real quarterback. If a quarterback comes out their rookie year and I'm like, hey, they're playing like Tom Brady, I'm a big fan. Like, I'm a big fan of Dak, of how Russell came out when he was a rookie. I like certain stylistic of play, and I don't care about the other styles. NFC South, oh shit. Like, NFC South, who like Sam Darnold, Tom Brady, duh. No one on the Saints. Simeon, pass. Winston, pass. Uh, Taysom Hill, pass. I don't want any of that. I don't think there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the league. They are all, ironically, the some of the best passers our species has ever produced in the passing of anything. Like, pick it up and throw it. They're amongst the best throwers of anything. Bowling ball throwers, dart throwers, javelin throwers, shot put throwers, rock tossers, someone skipping rocks on a pond. Everyone that's throwing the football in the NFL are some of the best throwers of our entire lineage of a species. They're up there with pitchers and baseball players. They're amazing. But when they get to this level, it's a team sport. You can get cracked in half. It's not the same thing as the other throwers. You can absolutely get like murdered out here. I don't think a lot of these guys got it. And unfortunately, you go through, and let me get back to this other page here. How many of them are in good situations? Derek Carr's not anymore. Tom Brady is, and he's creating a lot of that. Matt Stafford's not. A team that trades 2 first-round draft picks for Stafford and trades 2 first-round draft picks for Jalen Ramsey, that organization needs to tell their fans that they believe they're uneducated, that they're trying to sell tickets, and if they would like to root for a winning football franchise that wins a Super Bowl, that they need to take their fanship elsewhere to be rewarded. That's what I believe the Rams should tell their fans, because that's not how you build a fucking – it is how you can build a franchise. It'd be tough to get me to make those type of trades if you had a gun to my head. So I don't know what they're doing. Justin Herbert, he had a better coach last year. You fired his better coach from last year, who I may think may be the coach of the Lions in 2 years. But I don't know how good of a situation he's in. They didn't do much with Philip Rivers and LT and Antonio Gates and Lorenzo Neal or any of that. So I don't know how good of a situation Justin Herbert's in. They seem to believe that if they moved their football team to share a stadium away from their fans, that they were somehow going to become a big market team that won Super Bowls. Justin Herbert, I don't know how good of a situation he's in. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid's pretty fucking obese, and he's old, and I don't know if he can work a high-stress job for the next 10 years to coach Patrick Mahomes. He'd be in his mid-70s. You know, honestly, Andy Reid is lucky to be alive. With all the heartache and difficulties he's faced in his life at his weight and his age, he's lucky to be living. He's a very blessed person. I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. But Mahomes eventually is going to be not with the same coach. Dak Prescott, their owner can't say Ezekiel Elliott without saying a wink. They're paying Zeke like $15.5 million. They're going to lose Tony Pollard. I don't know how great of a situation Dak's in. I think Dak would win a Super Bowl if they would. They didn't draft Johnny Manziel, but they don't quite have their heads out. By the time they get out of the bad contract with Ezekiel Elliott, what year is it going to be? It's going to be CeeDee Lamb time. And they're going to give him too stupid of a contract instead of trading him for assets as well. Josh Allen, Bill Belichick, and Mack Jones on the Patriots, you're not in a great situation. You guys are in the frigid north, and you don't have a run game, and you don't stop the run game very well. This could bite me in 2 days. But Kirk Cousins, overpaid. Rodgers, all of them who are paid more than Brady are overpaid. Rodgers is in a great situation. I don't know how much he appreciates it, and I don't know how much they appreciate him, because Packers may never have a better quarterback in the entirety of human history better than Aaron Rodgers, and he wants to be treated better than Tom Brady, and they shouldn't do it, but they should also treat him better than they do. And I think Rodgers stays in the Packers for some years. I don't think they get rid of him. Uh, I think that'd be devastating. I think they need to get rid of Jared Love, maybe, and they need to tell like, hey, Rodgers, we're probably going to get a guy with a third round pick or something. Maybe not get rid of Jared Love, but I would not be. I wouldn't be bowing down to Rodgers, but I wouldn't let him out of the building either. I don't know I don't know where what meets what comes first, but Aaron Rodgers, great situation, great franchise. Here's this: whoever's going to the Patriots, they're in a good situation. Chiefs had Haley and Scott Pioli and all that nonsense. But if you really think about it, when that ownership went out to go hire those guys, he hired a three-time executive of the year, and he hired like the best offensive coordinator candidate as he could. Like Hunt, the owner, hired the two best guys he could think of to hire. Now I'm not a big fan of their team president or their like corporate structure in the football building, but Chiefs, Patriots, you're going to a good situation. Packers, I kind of want to say the Colts. I want to say the Ravens, and I want to say the Steelers. And maybe the Niners. Everyone else, you're tough sledding because ownership doesn't turn over. Like Stephen Jones may be able to tell Jerry Jones once, "Hey, we're not effing getting Johnny Manziel. If you draft Johnny Manziel, I need to go work in one of your other companies." He may get away with something like that, but this whole like Ezekiel Elliott stuff, it's how I know you're not going to win a Super Bowl. It's how I know you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Like maybe they win a Super Bowl this year with Ezekiel Elliott, but honestly, he's overpaid. And when you have overpaid players, I'm already kind of counting you out. The Patriots don't have any overpaid players. Look how consistent they are. Like you start getting into teams that have very, very, very high paid players. What's the last team that won a Super Bowl with any player being the highest paid player at their position? I've pretty much summed it up. I think guys like Taylor Heineke, Lamar Jackson could get significantly better. Uh, I think Dak Prescott could bring home a ring. I think Patrick Mahomes could be in the middle of a dynasty that I'm unaware of. I think Justin Herbert could go win a Super Bowl. But a lot of these, it comes down to your franchises, your coaches, and your owners of the franchises and the general managers. I don't feel like all of that's aligned. So this is what I think about quarterbacks right now. I can't tell you what quarterback in college football I think is a real quarterback. All I can do is describe him. He's well spoken. He's very mature. He's very intelligent. He's calm. He's accurate, and he's a good decision maker. I don't know how tall he is. I don't know how much he weighs. I don't know how hard he throws the football. I don't know what team he plays for, but he's extremely accurate and makes good decisions. He's not a star player. He's not an egotistical, flashy. He's not Zach Wilson. He's not Zach Wilson. He's not Jordan headband flashy. Hey, look at me. Look at these throws I can make. That's not the quarterback. Whoever's looking like Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Mack Jones, Matt Ryan, whoever's playing football like that in college football, he may be a quarterback to look at. If they're playing like Justin Fields or RG3 or something like that, if they're playing like Dak Prescott, they're good to go. They're playing like RG3, they are not good to go. And that's how I view quarterbacks and passers. I think there's a handful of good quarterbacks. I think there's a shit ton of good passers. And I don't think very many of those passers are very good at quarterbacking. And yeah, I mean, you could every quarterback in the entire NFL could go to some quarterback conference and all die in the same plane crash, like We Are Marshall or something like that. And you could replace them all with running backs. They're all going to be quarterbacks. They're all going to be titled and positioned and labeled as quarterbacks. But the quarterback and passer is like me, is like this. All quarterbacks are passers, but not all passers are quarterbacks. When your running back throws a pass, he's not quarterback. When Jarvis Landry throws a pass, he's not your quarterback. When Julian Edelman threw a pass, he wasn't your quarterback. They may have played quarterback, but they are not quarterbacks. I don't think everyone that plays quarterback understands quarterbacking as well as they should. I think they all can throw a football. Right now, today, I think Mack Jones is a better quarterback than all of about 5 of them, and it's his rookie year. I expect Mack Jones to win a Super Bowl next year, and I don't expect anyone to keep him from doing so because the team that you root for is not very consistent. So they have a shot. They just don't have a consistent shot. So, like the Niners, they have a consistent shot. They're well coached. But, like, their best rookie and their best rookie from next year is on the team right now, and he's not better than Jimmy Garoppolo. You have 2 players that are just on the bench. You have 2 first-round draft picks. They're on the bench. You know, the Niners are a great organization. You know, since York's uncle owned the team, but that's one of the most mind-boggling things I've seen since the RG3 trade or drafting Jamarcus Russell or something like that. I mean, to go get Trey Lance, that's we're going to keep Carson Wentz and get rid of Nick Foles. We're going to have someone that our town calls Saint Nick when they threw rocks and bottles at Santa Claus. The Eagles are associated with throwing objects at Santa Claus from decades ago, and then they have a quarterback that beats Tom Brady in the Super Bowl that they have dubbed Saint Nick, and you're going to keep Carson Wentz over your Super Bowl champion. Eagles have no goddamn idea what to do at quarterback. They do. I need to catch myself. It's like believing in a railroad. Believing in a railroad and believing in Bigfoot are 2 different beliefs. Believing in something that's real, like, they know what they're doing at quarterback. It just doesn't mean anything. It sucks. It's not good enough. It's not efficient enough. I'm going to wrap this up. My phone keeps going off. This is what I think about quarterbacks. Thanks.